The F80 is Ferrari's newest hypercar, the culmination of all of the performance, design, and innovation that Ferrari is renowned for. It was unveiled on October 17th, 2024 with the price tag of 3.6 million euros, or nearly $4 million. So there we go. The hardest part of getting a Ferrari F80 is paying for it. But what if you can pay for it? You can walk up to your local Ferrari dealership, ask for the F80, and write a check, but you won't be walking out with one. These halo cars and other limited edition vehicles are reserved for only the most elite Ferrari VIPs. And today, we're going to talk about the history of this practice, who Ferrari sells these cars to, and why Ferrari does this. About every 10 years, Ferrari releases a new hypercar, also described as a halo car. Ferrari is only making 799 units of the F80. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually higher than the total production of Ferrari's last halo car, the LaFerrari, which they produced 499 coupes in 2013 and 210 convertibles later in 2016. The term halo car isn't a formal classification. It's primarily a marketing term for a representation of the best a brand has to offer. Examples of halo cars from other brands include the upcoming 2026 McLaren W1 with an estimated price tag of $2 million and the Acura NSX, which was intended to demonstrate that Honda could compete on the track with the best of the best without compromising on quality, reliability, and affordability. But when it comes to the hype-around halo cars, Ferrari is in a league of its own. The company's historical halo car strategy has been focused on extremely limited production and extremely high prices, with very few available on the used market. The title of the original production hypercar probably goes to the Lamborghini Miura, which was produced from 1966 to 1973. Ferrari's first halo car was the 1984 288 GTO. Ferrari typically gets the credit for the sales model of only offering its halo cars to VIP clients. The company has perfected the art of exclusivity and developed a business model guaranteeing continuous demand by means of limited supply. Ferrari's reputation guarantees that its vehicles are not only vehicles, but also desirable collector's goods that either maintain their value or even appreciate over time. For example, Ferrari released its 2003 halo car, the Enzo, for a retail price of $659,000, equates to around $1.15 million after accounting for inflation in 2024. Over the past 5 years, there have been just 18 Enzos sold at auction, ranging from $2.2 million to $4.4 million. Most cars depreciate over time, but Ferrari's halo cars have preserved or even grown in value incredibly well. These aren't just cars, these are collector's items and status symbols, and Ferrari knows it. Let's compare the Enzo to other cars from that era, such as the Lamborghini Murcielago, the Bugatti Veyron, and another Ferrari, the F430. None of these are cheap vehicles, but accounting for inflation, the average sales price of these cars over the past 5 years has been 30 to 50% below the original MSRP when adjusted for inflation. Also consider that those sales prices over the past 5 years were also boosted by the increase in consumer spending on collector's items and luxury goods during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's ever more obvious that people don't just want a Ferrari and they don't just want a halo car. They want a Ferrari halo car. As we saw with the Enzo versus the F430, not all Ferraris are created equal. There is a range of consumer demand and profit margins across the portfolio. For example, the Roma Spider starts at around $250,000, while the 812 GTS starts at over $400,000. In microeconomics, Ferraris are considered Veblen goods. Luxury items where higher prices only increase their attractiveness, unlike most products where cutting the price typically drives up demand. The buyer base at these price levels are typically not price sensitive, and so if someone is going to shell out money for a Ferrari, they want the best one available. Despite Ferrari's premium products having high prices, they don't necessarily have great profit margins. That is to say, Ferrari's most expensive cars are also very expensive to produce. In order to increase overall profit margins, Ferrari can't just sell its high-end cars. It needs to drive sales for its entry-level cars with lower production costs. While the company doesn't share its profit margins by model, it announced in 2019 that strong sales of the Portofino, its lowest priced car, was one of the major drivers for its incredible performance during that quarter. Ferrari's approach is similar to that of other luxury goods companies such as Rolex and Hermes. Similar to the F80, you can't just stroll into an Hermes store and buy a Birkin bag or into Rolex and buy a Daytona. In order to buy a Birkin, for example, customers need to build a relationship with the sales associate, or SA, and demonstrate interest in the brand through purchases of less desirable but higher margin products. You want a Birkin bag? You should buy sandals, scarves, shoes, and whatever else you need in order to qualify. The companies may deny that there is a quota, but leaks and hundreds of customers will attest to the fact that there is a spend ratio. If you buy enough other products, then you may be offered a Birkin. Still, Ferrari's methods are more complex than Hermes and Rolex, which are lower value products that are produced continuously. There are only a limited number of Ferrari limited edition cars, so it's really a ranking system, a competition amongst Ferrari customers. There's a reason that Ferrari markets exactly how many of these cars they'll produce, to manufacture the perception of scarcity. There are plenty of rumors and evidence that Ferrari produces more than they claim, such as an anecdote from VinWiki in 2018 that they have 490 Enzos in their database despite Ferrari claiming that they only made 399. To be a VIP with Ferrari is to spend enough to be in the running for a Halo car, but the amount you spend with the company alone doesn't ensure access to the F80. When the customer list is so small and everyone can pay whatever price needs to be paid, Ferrari looks at more than just money to figure out who's at the top of the list. Believe it or not, by the time the announcement has been made for a limited edition Ferrari, chances are that every single one has already been accounted for by a VIP. How then can one get a limited edition Ferrari allocated? Everything revolves around developing a relationship with the brand. Sometimes a good relationship with a local dealership, built over years of purchases and brand events, allows one to obtain a rare Ferrari. If you have the disposable income, you can just go in and buy whatever Ferrari you like and potentially stumble onto an allocation. However, many enthusiasts are more targeted and hire consultants in order to navigate brand loyalty, event attendance, and dealership relationships in order to get their supercar allocations. The relationship with Ferrari starts at a dealer and building a relationship with that dealer. Repeat sales and commission are never a bad thing for a salesperson. However, it's not the dealer that gets to choose who gets an allocation. As part of our research for this video, we had the opportunity to speak to a Ferrari VIP who has received multiple rare car allocations over the years. He shared that hypercar allocations are decided entirely at Ferrari's corporate offices in Maranello. Dealers submit a list of their clients who they think are the most deserving, but the rest is out of their hands. This is very similar for non-hypercars that are still limited editions. Towards the end of the life of certain vehicles, Ferrari will release a limited edition run of the car. One such example is the 488 Pista. In a leaked document, it was revealed that the company had different tiers for different customers to qualify for the Pista. It was first offered to customers who already had a 488 and one other V8 engine car, followed by customers who owned racing cars, followed by other VIPs, and then finally, those that they called Addicted Plus. An interesting note is that there was a bullet on converting addicted buyers into Addicted Plus, which is a classic case of upselling. One of the key factors checked is whether you are a previous owner of a hypercar and that you haven't sold it. Ferrari keeps close track of the secondary market and actually has a rule in place that customers can't resell their allocated hypercar for a certain period of time, usually at least 18 months. This maintains Ferrari's level of exclusivity and has contributed to their appreciation over the years. A Ferrari Halo car doesn't come to market very often, so when it does, people will pay for it. Most owners will not want to sell and risk being kicked off the Ferrari VIP list. However, based on our conversation with the anonymous Ferrari VIP, having a previous Halo car helps, but it's not a prerequisite. He was able to get a Daytona SP3 without having an SP1 or SP2, as they weren't street legal in the US at the time, and was able to get a LaFerrari allocation without previously owning an Enzo. According to him, allocations are distributed about 2 to 3 months before the official reveal. While your chances are much improved by developing a close relationship with your local Ferrari dealer, interacting with Ferrari's VIP programs can also help. Projects like Ferrari Classiche and Corso Pilota are meant to strengthen the link between the brand and its customers. Corso Pilota provides racing courses where owners may learn how to maximize the actual performance of their vehicles, usually under the direction of seasoned racers, including former Formula One drivers. These initiatives help Ferrari to maintain its reputation as a lifestyle that honors performance, excellence, and legacy rather than just as a car maker. One notable Ferrari VIP, David Lee, goes by the social media handle Ferrari Collector_David Lee and regularly posts about his collection and thoughts on Ferrari's offerings and events. However, in 2017, when Ferrari released the very limited run Aperta variant of the 2013 LaFerrari Halo car, David Lee was more than willing to pay the $2.2 million sticker price. He had a garage full of Ferraris in his $50 million car collection and had just ordered 4 more. He had done the Corso Pilota and spent $25,000 to join Ferrari's driving club. However, Ferrari did not provide him an allocation in their 210 car production run. There was a lot of speculation around why Mr. Lee didn't get an allocation, including one industry insider saying that Ferrari does not like the publicity he creates on social media, as they hate all the noise and he loves it. His social media behavior and showiness run in stark contrast to Ferrari's refined, quiet prestige and elegance. Previously, Mr. Lee was also left off of the list of allocations for the original LaFerrari, but he used his network to find a seller willing to circumvent the 18-month resale prohibition, paying much more than the 1.4 million sticker price, and then stuck it to Ferrari by driving it to a Ferrari event in Pebble Beach. Once Ferrari found out, they made him agree to the same resale conditions as their other customers. So if Mr. David Lee, after spending tens of millions on Ferraris, can't get an allocation, how can you get a Ferrari F80? Well, if you haven't gotten an allocation by now, the answer is almost definitely no, you can't. You will not likely see one on the used market for at least 2 years after they start being delivered, and they will likely be at a significant premium to the $4 million MSRP. It's also worth noting, though, that the demand for this particular Halo car may be weaker than that of previous limited edition versions. At 799 units, this is the largest production run of Ferrari Halo cars, and it is also the most expensive by far, which makes value appreciation much more challenging than previous cars. That will likely not move the needle for die-hard Ferrari enthusiasts, but if you're interested in making it in time for the next Halo car in about 10 years, it's never too early to start building a relationship with the dealer and driving off in a Portofino. So why won't Ferrari just make more? They are a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker RACE. They are incentivized to drive shareholder value through maximizing earnings. So why don't they try and sell as much as possible? Well, Ferrari's business model centers on low volume, high margin manufacturing. Ferrari's business model becomes incredibly clear when you compare its margins against that of its competitors. Mass market manufacturers such as BYD and Toyota had their margins in the mid to high single digits, while even higher-end manufacturers like Mercedes and BMW hovered within the low teens. Porsche was Ferrari's closest competitor at 18.2%, while Ferrari was head and shoulders above the competition at a 27% operating margin. To further illustrate the point, Toyota sold 8.8 million vehicles in 2023 and made a profit of approximately $2,300 per car, Mercedes sold about 2 million automobiles and made about $10,000 per car. Ferrari, on the other hand, made $130,000 per vehicle sold. If Ferrari's goal was to maximize volume sold, it would have to start reducing pricing in order to access different buyer bases. Mercedes and BMW, for example, have offerings across the entire spectrum of entry-level to high luxury in order to take advantage of product differentiation and market segmentation. Ferrari, on the other hand, has focused on limiting sales to a level that the market can absorb them. The average Ferrari during the past 10 years has been about $425,000, with recent numbers climbing up to $478,000. Although output has doubled in the previous 10 years, the rise has been slow, about 7% annually. Ferrari's goal is not to sell more cars. It is trying to trickle them into the market slowly, maintaining scarcity and preserving pricing power and operating margins. There is a very small market that has both the brand enthusiasm and finances to freely buy limited edition Ferraris, and the company has developed and perfected a strategy to keep them coming back for more and maintaining their industry-leading margins. So, what do you think about Ferrari's VIP process? Do you enjoy the exclusivity? Do you hate it and all that it stands for? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Subscribe to our channel to learn more about unique practices in the auto industry and why companies do them. And hit the bell icon so you never miss a beat.